Alright, today I've already written the rest of the chapter at least. Hope you guys enjoy. We stopped off when Hartwell said,
Don't worry about it. I know a guy.
Here we go. In response, Dr. Bright raises an eyebrow and asks curiously and squinting, not fully believing his duo.
Excuse me? You know a guy? Who in the right mind has that kind of firepower and is willingly gonna give it up?
He says, waving his hands erratically as if he's shooting away flies or swatting at imaginary bees. Dr. Hartwell looks at Bright as if he just asked him something obvious, pats his shoulder, and speaks nonchalantly.
Don't worry about it. Just leave it to me.
He says before arrival at Site 04. Dr. Bright enters alongside Dr. Hartwell with a sense of wariness and caution, not trusting even a single tile or light bulb that lines the walls and floor in a repeating pattern. Bright eyes flicker all over the place as if looking or scanning for movement or something out of line or out of the ordinary to give him an excuse to leave. Coming up short, Hardwell, with his hands in his pockets, walked through the halls at a slow and steady pace, having a location in mind, already knowing the path like the back of his hand. The two scientists arrive at a large lab to there, but it's just like theirs, but it's much larger and has more people working on anomalous objects or just filing simple paperwork. Among the crowd, Harwell was walking toward a large man, bald and long bearded, his face adorned with an unfriendly and stern expression as if to ward off anyone trying to do anything except for business. This was the weapons dealer, Mr. Molyneux. Hardwell's eyes lock onto Mr. Molyneux, his hand once in arms, reach extending to shake hands, with Hardwell having a small smile on his face as if greeting an old friend. Mr. Molyneux, of course, responds the way you'd expect someone of his description to do, speaking in a gruff, somewhat raspy yet deep and almost angry voice.
Who's the plus one, Hartwell? You know how I feel about outsiders.
He says with an aura of dislike and on the edge. Hardwell responds accordingly.
Ease me. We're just here for some special equipment if you haven't stock for people browsing.
Hardwell's tone was implying and obvious to be giving off a second meaning. Mostly he had planned for situations like the one he was in right now. But he had to make a backup plan. Molyneux looks between Hardwell and Dr. Bright, his eyes flicking and almost scanning the pair in suspicion before he lifts his hands and gestures to follow him.
Fine, but tell your friend to hurry up and don't touch anything.
He says, biased to Hardwell. Dr. Bright pouts like the child he really is on the inside, huffing but still following Hardwell wherever the weapons master was leading him. Time flies like a blur before either of them know it. They see a large container full of what smells like exactly what they need: flammable, explosive, and destructive gasoline, along with giant nets, large artillery rounds fit for tanks or larger. Mr. Molyneux pauses and turns to the duo of scientists and speaks expectantly.
Well, this is what you paid for, so this is what you're getting. Is anything missing from the list you wanted?
Responding satisfied and in awe, Dr. Hartwell says,
Yeah, this is actually perfect. Thanks.
and before anything else, Dr. Bright is already wandering around touching stuff, quickly receiving a slap on the back of his palm from Mr. Molyneux.
What did I just say 10 minutes ago? Do not touch anything.
Molyneux says, scolding Bright, steaming with anger, showing that he had not only a short fuse, but was also quick to act harshly. Dr. Bright yelps,
Ow! You didn't have to hit me.
whining, invoking a chuckle from Hardwell before he goes to speak with Molyneux.
Sorry about that. He's a bit numb in the head.
and responsible nods agreeing.
Yeah, no kidding.
Before any more conversation can be upheld, a woman walks through the double doors of the lab, sighing and catching an eye of the trio. Another 5-minute session. I hope you guys liked the writing. Whoever's watching this, hasta luego.